Okay, everybody, here we go. It is me, Gregory Mannarino. It is Thursday, June 22nd. Can you believe it? At the end of June here. Can't believe it already. June 22nd, 2023, and I tried to calm down my hairdo from yesterday. A lot of you were like freaking out. All right, look, with that aside, sometimes you got to laugh, and I think it's one of those times for you and me. Let's talk about this. So, yesterday, we heard from the it thing, vomitous mass, Fed Chair Powell, who enlightened us all that inflation is still rising. It seems to be out of control, despite the fact that the Fed is doing everything it possibly can to stop inflation. How about that's a complete falsehood? If the Federal Reserve, if any central bank wants to stop inflation in its tracks, how does it do that? Not by raising rates. Obviously, it's not working. We just found out the Bank of England just raised rates 50 basis points. Hold that thought. We'll talk about that in a moment. But if a central bank really wants to stop inflation, it would contract the money supply. You and I have spoken about this since day one. We knew that raising rates would not work. It's not even meant to work. All raising rates does, what it's designed to do, is cut off the availability of credit to the consumer and especially to small businesses who are being erased to fulfill the corporate agenda. Now again, going back to what central banks could actually do, they could contract the money supply overnight, and actually do something about inflation. How would they do that? Well, they would just raise the capital reserve requirements of the institutions, the banks. Here in the United States, we are at a big fat zero. Imagine, let me ask you, we're friends, right? We talk about everything. Why is it, in your opinion, that the people, because they have no idea, have not been made aware via the mainstream propaganda ministry? I'm talking about the financial channels or the major news networks saying, hey, you know what? If a central bank really wanted to stop inflation, they could just raise the capital reserve requirements of the banks, and that would contract the money supply. And what would happen? Inflation would go away, or it would start moving down. As we all know, by their own numbers, inflation continues to rise. Although the pace is slowing, or at least that's what they're telling us. I don't see that anywhere, okay? But it's an amazing thing how people can be duped. They can be lied to. They can be deceived. They can be told to look here, meaning look at what central banks are doing. They're raising rates. Oh, yes, they are. Although the Fed just paused, but central banks are raising rates because they're in the fight of their lives. It's the fight of their lives to stop inflation. But meanwhile, not a peep, not a word, not a syllable about contracting the money supply. Do you realize? Think about what I'm telling you. We have a no reserve requirement. None. Banks don't have to hold any cash in reserve. Zero. How about we do something about that? We could actually stop inflation. But no, that won't happen because pressure must be put on and kept on the middle class who is being systematically erased. Speaking about that, on the economic front here in the United States, home foreclosures are skyrocketing. Imagine my shock. Can I please see your shocked face? Shocked? No! What have we discussed repeatedly here? That this phenomenon would occur. And again, they're letting us know that loan defaults are also skyrocketing at their fastest pace since the last meltdown. Loan defaults, foreclosures, car repossessions, credit card defaults, you name it. But this is all part of the game to crush the middle class, to erase them, to make them slaves to the system. And you know this. I can't imagine the pressure that is on people today, honestly. It's a terrible thing to witness, but that's exactly what's going on here. It's a terrible thing. So let's talk about the Bank of England real quick. And I want you to think about what I'm going to say. So the Bank of England, okay, they raised rates here, 50 basis points here. Meanwhile, and this is a phenomenon that we've discussed before that has been going on, since central banks started raising rates, because in the fight of their lives here, you know that. Every single central bank's so-called projections about where things would go with regard to inflation has been completely wrong. Do you think that that's by accident? Because you and I nailed this to the wall with regard to inflation. It wasn't going to be temporary. It wasn't going to be transitory. It would continue to rise and rise and rise. And that's exactly what has been going on here. But we were sold the lie that it was temporary, it was transitory, it was going to go away sometime soon. And the Federal Reserve, in this case, oh yes, they were going to get back to their 2% target. You can't make it up. But no, you see, central banks have done this deliberately. It's another deception, and that's what they're going to do today. We heard from Powell yesterday. Talking out of both sides of his mouth. Inflation is sticky. Inflation is rising, but he predicts, his projection is that inflation is going to drop significantly. When? Who freaking knows? Okay, it's again, no accountability at all. You think you have a voice? Really? I don't care where you live in the world. You are living under a terrible tyranny, and that is a central bank is running your freaking life. They control the economy. They control the markets. They control the financial system. They control the flow of information. Once you understand that, your life will be a lot better off. What do they try to do? They try to stick you in this camp or that camp. It's these people's fault. No, it's the central banks. They're doing it all, and they're laughing. They're laughing at everybody, including you and me. But we can laugh back because we know the game. Anyway, speaking of the UK here, inflation continues to outpace every single projection here. And it's not going to stop. You know that. We've been outlining how it's not going to stop for I don't know how freaking long here. And that's the truth. It's just going to go on and on. Core inflation, strip out energy, strip out food, because these prices are transitory. You know they are, because that's what they're telling you. You can't make that up either. But strip out that, and core inflation continues to outpace everything, and those costs are being passed on to you. And not only that, how many major corporations have we heard from already that have said, well, we have to pass on those prices to you because our cost of raw materials is rising and labor costs are rising, so we must pass that on to you. But meanwhile, what else did we find out just a couple of weeks ago? It's these same corporations that are not only passing those costs on to you and me, obviously, but over and above that, so they can pad their, bonuses at the end of the year. What a game that is being played on people. It's pathetic. But it's people getting led to the slaughter. Led to the slaughter on a truly epic freaking scale here. How about this? So in just 2 weeks, this is something that people aren't supposed to know. You and I have covered here, again, for years, how debts and deficits will continue to balloon and hyperballoon. In just 2 freaking weeks, the U.S. debt has now risen over $572 billion, or more than $500 billion. Can I please see your shocked face again? Oh no! I'm shocked! I can't believe it. Of course you can, people. Come on, man. This is insane. Now, going back over here, let's look at the market real quick. Stock futures are lower this morning, not by much. Okay, we got this warning yesterday from Goldman Sachs. Oh, yeah, the market's going to fall, and it could be significant. Look, until you and I see something happen here in the debt market, and it's clearly not, you have central banks in here buying it all. Tell me again. Tell Greg Mannarino just one more time, because I forget. I'm old. So tell me again how it is that a central bank keeps rates low. Oh, you mean they don't have magical powers? They can't just wave a magic wand? No, they have to get into the market. They have to buy the debt to keep rates suppressed. And what does that do? That opens up a doorway for cash to make its way into equity, the equity market, or risk assets, and it inflates a bubble, and they know that. So they're in the midst of obviously creating a total freak show of whatever. There is no market anymore. We have central banks running it all, including the markets, including the economy, including everything else. But we got Joe Biden. He's crossing his fingers. You remember that from yesterday? Joe Bidenstein, a lovely, illustrious thing, sitting behind the Resolute desk, is crossing his fingers, hoping that the Federal Reserve will give us a soft landing on the economy. But you see, Bidenstein is telling you that it's his economic policies that are running everything, and everything is just fine and dandy and perfect and lovely. Do you see what I'm talking about? The lies, the deceptions, the distractions. You can't make it up. It's impossible to do. Anyway, so I want to hear from you on these things. How many of you out here believe sincerely that central banks collectively, they just got this all wrong? It was just an accident. It's a mistake. It was not deliberate that we've been told lie after lie after freaking lie out of these institutions, and there's no accountability. None at all. Zero. That just makes me sick to my stomach. So, I mean, come on. Obviously, I know your answer. It's deliberate. All of it is deliberate here. Are you shocked that debts and deficits are ballooning higher than anyone ever dreamed, except you and me? We knew that. Does that surprise you? I don't think so. How about loan defaults, foreclosures? It's just incredible. It's incredible what we're seeing. But it's everything that we've talked about. Everything that you and I have been outlining for I don't know how freaking long, that we were told we were wrong. Oh, no, you guys you're conspiracy theorists and you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, we pretty much nailed it to the freaking wall. All right, people, just be ready for anything, all right? Because I'm telling you right here and right now, whatever you think, well, if you follow this blog, you already understand this, but the general population has no clue at all. Nothing about what's coming down the pike. If they think things are bad now, they have no clue, again, of where they're going. Whenever you hear an utterance from a mainstream propaganda ministry, it's just know that the polar opposite is true. The polar opposite is true. And frankly, they're giving it to you and me deep in the heart of that gabagool. And I ain't liking it. This guy here loves you a lot. People, I would appreciate those thumbs up. Again, you give these videos a thumbs up. YouTube says, hey, people like this video. Maybe we'll show it. It allows people to see the work and hear these things. Where are you going to find this kind of stuff? Okay, I don't think anywhere else. So please thumbs up, share the video, comment. I want to hear from you on the things we have covered here. Especially my friends in the UK. You're everyone's in trouble here, honestly. And it just seems to me like things are really, really going off the rails. And it definitely is not by accident. It's all deliberate, and it's all about to get much worse. All right, I'll see all of you later for my live stream, 1:05 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. All right, I know you like when I say that. And well, we'll talk then.